Hello and welcome to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, where I talk to ordinary people doing some extraordinary things. I'm your host, Federica Peterson. I'm a certified executive and life coach, business mentor, best-selling author, and adjunct professor. I'm here to partner with you in your transition journey to help build your confidence, elevate your thinking, and shift your perspective to empower you to cast a new vision and redefine what's possible. Or in other words, shift your atmosphere. Well, folks, today we're talking about your setback being your setup. And I'm sure many of you have heard that before, but my guest today is living proof of that. So I'm excited to have him on the show. So let's just talk about the topic today. So what happens when you go from unprecedented fame to bankruptcy? Now, that is a difficult transition, but not impossible to overcome. And Marques did just that. When he learned as he fought his way back was invaluable, and it contributed to the success that's beginning to manifest in his life today. As he shares with others the secret to overcoming obstacles in your life. And so for those of you that don't know Marques Ogden, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He grew up in a single-parent home with a father that inspired perseverance and fairness. Marques learned how to define his values and set goals. He attended Howard University from 1998 to 2002, where he played Division I football. He then followed his dream and his brother Jonathan's footsteps, eventually getting drafted into the NFL in 2003. Overall, he played for 5 years as an offensive lineman with the Titans, Bills, Ravens, and the Jaguars. Even during the offseason, Ogden helped to train football players in Europe, both physically and mentally. And at the age of 27, he founded a construction company called Caden Premier Enterprises, a business that grew rapidly in its first few years. But Marques and the business eventually went bankrupt after he lost almost $2 million on one project in a time period just under 90 days. And at his darkest point, the NFL trust came in and helped him restructure his life. With hard work and determination, he became a motivational speaker and marketing leader, helping to build others up to succeed. Marques, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to hold it against you because, you know, I'm like a diehard Giants fan, but, you know, it's okay. I'm still going to let you be on the show.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to hold that against you either because Bears haven't done much lately in the last 2 years.
That's okay. They're coming back. Wait till September. We're going back to the Super Bowl.
Well, I will say you guys do have the best, in my opinion, you all picked the best player in the draft on your football team.
Yes, absolutely have. And we are the comeback kids. Always have been. So we are coming back. Blue and white forever. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to the show. We're going to move on to the show. People certainly don't want to hear us go back and forth. But listen, so many people that don't know your story need to hear it. And so I want to give you some time right now to do what I have all my guests do and share the journey that got you to where you are today.
Well, you know, I'm originally from Washington, D.C., and I went to Howard University in D.C., and after my collegiate career, I was very blessed and fortunate to be drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars and first-time head coach Jack Del Rio, who also was the head coach of a while for the Oakland Raiders, who was just retired from coaching this past year. And after my NFL experience, during my NFL experience, I met a lot of great people during the NFL experience, guys like, Marcus Stroud, John Henderson, Byron Leftwich, played for some great coaches like Jack Del Rio, Brian Billick, Jeff Fisher, Mike Malarkey, throughout my career. So very fortunate to meet some really great people who had a lot of great leadership skills. Mm-hmm. So in 2008, I founded a construction company after I retired from the NFL. I had about a 6-year career. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I realized that I needed to transition. And unfortunately, I was not a very good leader at that time. I did not prepare for my transition very well. I actually struggled for about 6 months and got addicted to alcohol, gambling, all the things that you don't need to be addicted to because I just wasn't prepared to lead the game of football. Mm-hmm. Once I found myself and got myself together, I then found a construction company, and we had extreme success in the first few years of business. And like most companies, you kind of have to hit that job or that potential job that could either take you to the next level or it could be a major setback. And that job happened for me in 2012 when I worked for a client, Turner Construction, at a project called DHMH. And to make a long story short, I ended up having to spend several $1 million in less than 90 days to dry the job site, which means that the job site was not drying because there was a river beneath the job site. So we had to dewater it, but all of our pumps and manpower was not working. So it took a lot of extra manpower, and we were on a wage scale job. And when that happened, we ended up having to spend that money. And when I went to go get paid back by the developer and the contractor, they denied my change order. We had agreed prior that I was going to get paid for the work, but the developer actually took back his inclination, and we ended up not getting paid back for the change order. So once that happened, I went bankrupt. Everything I owned and had was completely gone. Home, cars, money, savings, credit, everything you could think of, gone. Wow. And my wife and I had just met. We met in July of 2012 on Match.com, and we started dating in August. And she actually moved to be with me in November. She left her job as a teacher. We were both in love, all this kind of great stuff, and she moved. And she got here in December of 2012, and March of 2013, I had to declare bankruptcy. So literally after a few months of moving to be with me, I lost everything, and her daughter, it was really tough. I remember her daughter's, my daughter, her birthday was in January, and I was so broke that we couldn't afford gifts, and we had to my wife went to the store to buy a cake, and credit cards were declined, and she's embarrassed, and with nothing, and just like no income. So I went and got a little extra job on the side selling gold, made a few dollars here or there, but I was under so much stress and anxiety because I was like trying to keep my company afloat and going to go work a job to make money to kind of try to pay bills. And at that time, I decided that I was not going to pay the mortgage anymore because I just couldn't afford it. And I'm like, I know I was going to lose the house anyway. So I tried to get together as much money as I could. So when I left Baltimore to go to Carolina, I had a little bit of something left. Well, the problem was, when I found our new place, they wanted the first month's rent, they wanted security deposit, they wanted this. I had movers, and So by the time I got down, it was April 2013. When we got here, after spending all the dollars that we needed to get ourselves moved from Baltimore to Carolina, I only had a few $100s left in the bank. That's it. So I was basically about that was April 15th, 2013. I was 2 weeks away from being homeless because May 1st was going to come around. Now, I had a job with Merrill Lynch at the time in Durham, but, I only got paid, twice a month, and I missed the pay cycle for that time. So I wasn't going to get a paycheck until the middle of May because I was just starting. So there was no way I could ask my landlord for an extension on our rent when I literally hadn't known him I had not even known him for a week. So I took it all the time. I was literally 2 weeks away from being homeless. And then the NFL stepped in, and they helped me through the Gene Upshaw Trust Fund. So when players in the NFL get fined, money goes into a pool, and that pool can help distressed players that can prove they have financial hardships. So that ended up happening. And thank the Lord, because without that, I don't know what would happen to me and my family. And I just don't know what would happen. So got that, and I was able to get myself on my feet. But then Merrill Lynch things weren't going so well because I was under a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I was an alcoholic at the time, drinking. Every time I came home from work, I would drink like 6 to 12 beers and sit in front of a video game, Xbox thing, and just play Xbox for a couple hours. And I was basically shut off from the world. And I remember, I got fired. and I was fired from Merrill Lynch from basically for lack of productivity. I wasn't doing well on the Series 7 practice test, so it was all my fault. Just I was not doing what I had to do. And then I got a job with a construction company that next Monday. I was like, yes, I'm back on my feet, and got hired on Monday, fired on Friday. So I was fired twice in a week.
Wow.
Then I ended up coaching. Football because that's what I found. That's what I knew. I was able to coach football and kind of get myself on my feet. Well, but the problem was I wasn't making enough money coaching football because we had just moved here, and I was using Living Social as a way to pick up clients. And I remember when I got fired from both jobs in a week, I got on the phone that Monday morning, and it was in the summer. I just started calling people up that had signed up for one of my football camps on Living Social. And I just kept signing up. So I said, hey, you want some sessions? So I sold like $1,500 worth of sessions in a day. So all right, we got a little bit. So that became my full-time thing, but I was making enough money at the time. So then I became a part-time janitor.
Okay.
And I made $8.25 an hour on the graveyard shift.
Wow.
And, I literally was working, scrubbing baseboards, floors. I was, what do you think of? I was doing vacuuming, taking trash out. Taking trash was my actual life-changing moment when I said, okay, someone's trash got on my bare skin. And I said, all right, this is the point where I've got to either accept life, be defeated, stay down forever, and become a forgotten ghost, or make the attempt to get off my butt, use the leadership skills I was taught, do it for my father, for my great coaches, great teammates, and make the attempt, at least make the effort to get myself back where I want to be. So I chose option B, and I want to become a public speaker. And for the first, 30 months, which equals 2.5 years, I didn't get hired to one job.
Wow.
And then I got my first break in 2016 with Miller Mott College in Wilmington, North Carolina. So you talk about extreme perseverance, resiliency, getting knocked down. I mean, getting people telling me, go away, you're not going to be a good speaker, go be a football coach, you're not going to be the next Tony Robbins, all that.
Yeah.
But I still press forward to get myself where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And that's where I am today. And that's where I am today. And, I can honestly say that, that is why I talk a lot about perseverance, a lot about resiliency, a lot about, because I've lived it. And I actually have a big event coming up in June for PNC Bank. I actually spoke at PNC Bank on Thursday, which went phenomenal. But I'm going to another part of PNC in Florida talking about perseverance and resiliency in the world of sales. I mean, very few people could go 30 months of being told straight no, or getting an occasional yes every now and then, probably 1 out of 10, but every yes was never a paid job.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. And I got to tell you, when I hear that story, there's so many things in that story that I could unpack. And I'm sitting here going, all right, which one of these 10 things do you want to unpack? Because there's a couple things there. But I first got to give a shout out to your wife, because bless her heart, that she hung in there with you through all of that. And I mean, I think that can, when I think about that could be so many people meet online, right? And for her to hang in there with you, I got to give her props. For real, I got to give her props for that. That's a ride or die. You're going to keep her.
Yeah,
I
mean, honestly, like, I tell her all the time, what were you thinking? Like, why?
Yeah,
but
God bless her. She saw something in you.
Well, she said, you were bankrupt, but you had determination, you had perseverance, and you had vision.
Yep.
So she believed in me.
Yep.
She believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself.
Yes. And I would say, to young women out there, we certainly weren't going to make this a single show, and we're not gonna. But I definitely will say this: it's the characteristics of the person that you got to look at, and not the paycheck. Because because that paycheck, you just gave an amazing example of how that paycheck can be gone overnight. But who's the individual, And so God bless her. God bless both of you. That's a very heartwarming story for me. I really, I think you guys are awesome. But one of the things I was going to say, and you said it, but I do believe, even though you were saying that she believed in you, I believe there was something deep down inside that you believed in yourself as well, because you have to take that much rejection.
Well, here's what I'll say. When I was first moved down to Carolina, I didn't believe in myself. Mm-hmm. I didn't believe in myself at all. Mm-hmm. I had no ambition. Mm-hmm. I was lazy. I was taking anything that came my way, and I didn't want to work hard because I was just so defeated, tired, and deflated. But I will say, once my wife got me to believe in me, what kept me going for those 30 months was I had become a statistic when I became a bankrupt athlete after my career. And that really drove me to push for greatness when I didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And most importantly, that's what drove me for those 30 straight months of being told no.
That competitive thing. That's a competition in you. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I like it. Yeah.
That's what really pushed me, drove me, to get myself where I am today. Yeah. Yeah. And when I talk about perseverance in sales and all that, like, nowhere can you go. Nobody, and I tell people all the time, I'm sitting in the audience, I'm like, tell me a person, and say, hey, audience, you tell me a person that that could go 30 months of hearing no for a potential paid job, and still decided to do that line of work. Mm-hmm. Because I had to do other things. Mm-hmm. But so if you're having a tough day, if you're not getting a sale for a day, a couple of days, a week or so, it's not the end of the world. It's not. Like, you have to understand that is part of sales. Part of sales is having to have the ability to accept rejection, take criticism, hear what clients like, don't like, or potential clients like or don't like, and then don't get the job, ask for feedback, or someone tells you no, say, thank you very much for the opportunity, I appreciate it, but look at it as a next opportunity. Yeah. That's what so many people in sales struggle with, is when they get told no, it deflates them. It might deflate me for like a half a second or two, but after a second or two, I'm good. I'm like, you know what? If you don't want to work with me, then that's your loss. That's how you have to look at it. Yeah. You don't want to say that to the client. That's going on inside your mind, inside your soul. Like, okay, well, you know what? It's their loss. Because I have a great opportunity to help them. So like when I go talk to PNC, I'm going to talk about, like, you have to have patience in sales. You have to be persistent. You have to, you get the opportunity to deliver with excellence. You have to have all these things. And you have to be willing to make a mistake, own it, fix it, move on. And that's what happens in sales. That's what happens to people in life.
In life, I was about to say, you keep saying sales, I'm like, shoot, I can think of so many people struggling in life with that, right? Because they get stuck.
Because what happens is when they get told no, they instead of moving on, they fester, they dwell. Like, why not me? Why not me?
Exactly.
Well, you know what? The fact,
This is why people cannot, we can't get, I'm going to go, Scott, 1 second, I got to say this. That's why I have a problem with these kids that are coming up now, and everybody gets an award. Even every child gets an award, whether you won or not. If you lost, you get an award. If you won, you get an award. Listen, awards are for hitting certain things, because we've got to learn how to be able to deal with rejection. And I don't think that we are always teaching our children how to deal with rejection if everybody wins. It doesn't help us develop. So what are we going to strive toward if no matter what we do, we're going to get an award? Oh, my Lord, that's a whole hot button you hit right there. But anyway, Carrie, go ahead.
When I had Cadence, the first 2 years was extremely difficult. I was told no a lot. Yeah. Cadence. A lot.
Now, what's Cadence? So people that don't know what that is. What is that?
So I'm sorry. Cadence is my old construction company. So construction company, I was told no a lot. But I kept pushing through. And I got my first big break. In speaking for 30 months, I was told no. That's sales. Even though it's speaking, it's still sales. Yeah. It's like I'm trying.
Yeah, you're selling something. Absolutely.
I'm selling a product. I'm trying.
Yeah, you're selling yourself.
A marketing event, a planner, a event coordinator that I can entertain their audience and give them teaching points. I mean, for example, a few people at PNC were not in favor of me speaking at their conference. I found out they were kind of like, "Oh, not really sure if Marques' story is going to fit with our audience because it's just football." But I'm like, wait a second. So the topic, the theme was diversity and inclusion, but the topic was leadership. Like, well, here's the thing, guys. I owned a diversity minority certified business with the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. And as a senior leader, when I was effective, inclusion was paramount in our office. When I lost my company, the diversity was still there, but the inclusion was gone.
Right.
Because I, as a senior leader, didn't listen to anybody. Anybody trying to talk to me, I shunned them. I didn't let them talk. And eventually, over a short period of time, my best employees started to leave. And once they started to leave, 6 months later, I was bankrupt. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like in sales, perseverance through sales. Like I had to persevere through the nose to get as a speaker. I had to be resilient when people would literally knock me down and say, Marques, you're just not cut out for this. Marques should be a football coach. Marques, you're not going to be the next Tony Robbins. You know, it's sales, but with PNC staff, it's the same thing. You're a financial planner. It's a numbers game. The more people that you talk to and give them your information and then let them sit on it and think about it, then you're going to have the best chance to succeed. But if you get told no a few times, you got to keep pushing.
You got to keep pushing.
That's PNC. That's
you're in life, with anything in life. So I got to ask you this question. So, actually, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want you to think about this for a minute. Is there a point now where you look back and say, I needed to go through this to prepare me for where I'm going? And I don't want you to answer right now. We're going to do that when we come back from the break. But I want you to tell folks how they can connect with you. Maybe there's somebody listening that wants you to come in and speak to them or their audience or whatever that is. How do people follow you and connect with you, Marques?
So you can follow me on all social media. My name is Marques, Marques, Ogden, Ogden. I'm on LinkedIn. That's my name. And Instagram is @Marques Ogden. Facebook is Marques Ogden. And then my Twitter is Marques_Ogden1. And then if you want to find me for a potential speaking engagement or a leadership conference or a corporate training, find me at www.Marques, Ogden, Ogden, publicspeaker.com.
Awesome. And that's going to be here in the podcast link too, you guys, so you can go there and check that out as well. All right, good deal. Hang tight one moment. We'll be right back.
Hey, listeners, this is Federica. Thanks for listening to my podcast. I upload new shows here every week, and you can catch all my past episodes from season 2 right here on this podcast station. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll get notified when I upload new shows and when I go live. So to find out more about me, you can visit my website at www.fredericapeterson.com. Here, you'll have access to my latest blogs, information on upcoming guests, all my live events, and so much more. You can also receive periodic updates directly from me by subscribing to my newsletter. I'd love to hear from you, so drop me a note and let me know how I'm doing. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, all accessible from my website. Thanks for helping me shift the atmosphere.
We're back. You're listening to Shifting the Atmosphere with Federica, and I'm here with my guest, Marques Ogden, and we are talking about his setup because he was set up with his setback. And the question that I left with that I want you to answer now is, do you look back at everything that you've been through and that 30 months of constant rejection and say, I needed to go through this to prepare me for where I'm going?
Yes. I would say that when I was a hard-working janitor and I was scrubbing baseboards, pledging tables, vacuuming, taking trash out, cleaning toilets, you name it, the humility that I felt and the humbleness that I was a high-level athlete, then I was an 8-figure business owner, then I became bankrupt. Now I'm back down to bottom, scrubbing baseboards and doing things that, it's a job to feed my family, but it's something that I had to been humble because I was not used to doing that because I was so successful early in my life.
Yeah.
What that taught me is that whenever I do get my act together and get back to the top, I will never, ever be the type of leader that I was when I lost my business. And it taught me how that if I ever do become a successful speaker, when I was visionary, I had a vision of that in my mind, and I would listen to my Walkman, and I was all excited about this and that. I said that the only way I can really become successful as a speaker is just to tell my authentic, true story. Yeah. And a lot of times speakers want to not do that because they feel embarrassed or ashamed, and they're like, well, I'm talking about the high points of my life. Well, that's not a good speaker because you're not sharing your experiences. And I actually talked to people at PNC that said, Marques, thank you for sharing your powerful story. I had one guy in the audience who we were talking about a leadership mentor. He said it was his father. And he said this guy was an immigrant, came to the country about 30 years ago. When he came to the country, he had a job as a dishwasher. And he said he knew it was always short-term, but he never complained, and that job helped send that money to his family. And he said, Marques, the fact that you can tell me 5 years ago you were a janitor, and 30 years ago when I came to this country as an immigrant, I was a dishwasher, we were able to relate and connect so strong. Right. And if I hadn't shared my story, he probably would have never told the audience about his experience washing dishes.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So,
I would agree with that. People relate to you in those places, right?
Sure.
When we get into the depths of those low places in our life, it's the one thing that we want to hide from everybody, but it's the one thing that connects you to your humanity. And humanity is what connects us to one another. I totally can agree with you with that. And sometimes it's a process. Overnight, somebody may not be feeling like I can be vulnerable and share my story. But time and time again, if you look back at so many people that are successful and in the limelight, I mean, think about Oprah and think about, all these people that are out there, Bill Clinton, and my God, there's so many, right? Tony Robbins. They have a story.
Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, Les Brown,
Yes.
Everybody
has a story. Yes.
Everybody.
We've all come from somewhere. We didn't just snap our fingers overnight and become successful. There's a process. There's a process.
That's like, I have a job coming up in June for Legacy Education Alliance, talking about transition and overcoming adversity and how all and then really how to become successful with your own path. But another thing they wanted me to highlight is that having a strong mentor or mentorship is a strong part of successful businesses. And they're 100% right. Yeah. I have a great mentors now, coaches, and if you want to succeed, you better have strong mentors to help you along the way.
Yeah. And there's different mentors for different parts of your life. It's not one mentor touches all things, right? You might have a business mentor, you may have a personal mentor for other things that are going on in your life, but there's a different mentor for each part of your life, and they should be strong. To your point, absolutely. To your point.
Oh, no, and because when I talk for the military or I talk for, LEAI or PNC Bank, my story is always going to be shared. But again, I'm going to highlight different teaching points for different topics. But
of course,
before anything else, you better, as a person, understand that your story is your story and that you have to be authentic. But if you want to be successful, and that's another reason why I fail, and I keep saying it the way I fail, not the company, not the employees, I failed. Right. I didn't have a mentor to help me. I need that advice.
To work you through some things.
Oh, yeah. I should have never spent that $2 million, ever. Right. I should make it like $200,000. It didn't work out. I should have walked away.
Right. Hey, you live and learn. You won't do it again.
That's the skills.
You won't do it again. Some people can't say that though, Marcus. Some people do it again if we sit there scratching their heads like, seriously, you ain't learned the first. You didn't learn the first time. Oh my Lord.
No.
Oh my goodness.
I've learned that, it's safer. It's better to grow a business and learn how to utilize things. And I don't want to get into a heavy payroll expense, insurance expense, lots of liquidity, cash, necessary expense business. Again, like I said, I look at guys like Tony Robbins who, took speaking, developed a huge brand and started to get paid for it and started doing things online. They started to branch out, and now he owns like part of the LA, the LA Galaxy, other businesses, things like that. But I really like the model of how to utilize your own skills. I was listening to something where Les Brown was talking about 20,000 people a day lose a job. And, you want to try to rely on your skill sets. And again, they're right. Now, of course, if you're trying to build a business and you're just starting out, I don't advise you just to go out and do it, not having an income. You just have to live life. But you always want to be a forward thinker. And that's why I tell people all the time, leadership, one of the best aspects of leadership is being a forward thinker and never getting caught off guard.
Yeah, visionary. Yeah. And if you do get caught off guard, you have things that you've put in place in order to be able to manage that because you can't see everything. Right. But you've got some things in place to be able to manage the things that will catch you off guard, or the people, the resources, those things that can help you to be able to come back from that. And so that takes me actually to my next question, because I think what I take away from what we were talking about there is power in your story. And for those of you that don't understand the power of your story, to Marcus's point, you need to explore that. If maybe you need to talk through it with a mentor, but there is power in your story. You're important. You went through it for a reason. It wasn't just for you. I say that to my listeners all the time. Trials are not for us. They're to help prepare us to help other people. That's what they're for, right? They're not for us to waste them and wallow and sit there. No, it's giving you skills. It's giving you strategy to understand how to be able to maneuver through things, because then it can take you to another level. That's really what that's about.
Here's what I had this 3-step process to use for leadership. It's effective in sales. It's effective when you're trying to start a business. Number one,
in life, probably.
Right. Create a vision or create a vision. Build or create the vision of what you're trying to achieve. Number two, strategize and create strategy implementation that you can start devise, that you have devised, that you start putting into action. And number three, execute the mission. So if you can build and create the vision, devise and or develop strategy implementation, and then execute the mission, you have success in your life. And then I also tell all the time, there's four things that you must have to have a thriving business or turn a chaotic environment to a thriving environment. Number one, create the why. Why the hell are you even here?
Right.
Number two is have effective communication by all parties involved. Number three, build and maintain trust between you and every employee and every client that works for the brand. And number four, create a psychologically safe environment for employees, clients, customers to express themselves, to be able to work out any issues or problems. If you can do those four things in a business enterprise, in a sales enterprise, in a team, in a business, in life, you have the best opportunity to achieve success.
Yes, I like it. So it's understand your why, effective communication, build that trust, and create a safe environment. I like it.
Yep.
I like it. So tell us this. What is one of the things, because there's so many lessons I know you've learned along the way, and you've just given us a couple of them, right? But what is the thing that had the greatest impact on your transformation, Marcus? What would you say?
The greatest thing that had the impact on my transformation was getting my first job for a company called NetApp through my inner circle, going to that job in Chicago, bombing it, doing horrible, and then getting the constructive feedback from my friend who had hired me for the job, and then taking that feedback and going to the same company 6 months later to speak, and then knocking it out of the park, because once I got that feedback from my client and friend, I took the feedback, even though it hurt me to hear at the time. That feedback set me up. So every time I speak now, I know how to stay on topic. I know how to open my presentation with a quote, a theme, a picture, an image that relates to the topic. I then know how to hit a couple different points, another couple different slides about the topic for the audience to kind of get them wanting to be really engaged. I then tell my custom suit, and then I have the teaching points and strategies that I want to implement or want them to take and put into their own lives that I know is tied to the theme that the client wants. So without my good friend Dave giving me that feedback after the first time I spoke in 2014 for NetApp, if I don't get that feedback, I would never have learned how to stay on topic like I am and like I do today.
That's excellent. And I would say this, right, because I like that. Constructive feedback is so critical. And some of us have a hard time hearing it, especially whatever it is that we're doing is personal to us. But I think that there's some level of importance, and you stress the fact that this is a good friend of yours, this is someone that you trusted. What is it that you would give somebody advice about when you're thinking about feedback and who you take feedback from? Because I think we have to be careful, because sometimes people will just tell us stuff to throw us off our game and to get us off our track, right? Because they don't really have good intentions in mind. Where other people are giving us stuff that's hard to hear, but it's for our own good. How do they determine the difference, Marques? Have you been able to think about that?
It's gonna be your inner circle. I would always say,
talk about the inner circle a little bit. The
inner circle are people that you trust that have proven that they had your best interest at heart. Like Dave was my client. I coached both his sons in football, private lessons. He was the man that I told I want to be a speaker at anyone in 2013, and if anybody needed one, please let me know. So he gave me that opportunity to prove myself, and the fact that he was able to give me feedback, and he said, "Marques, you were passionate, you were energetic, you were strong-willed, you had the best intention, but you just didn't stay on topic. You talked about your business failure, and we are a medical company, and we wanted to hear about concussions, CTE, experiences like that."
Okay.
So that makes a lot of sense, and the fact that he was able to tell me that, that helped me to devise better strategies so I could be successful as a speaker and not be somebody that has full of energy, full of passion, up there just talking out of his butt, but not staying on topic and not giving the audience any strategies or takeaways. If you want to be a great speaker, I can't tell you anything else. I can say, if you want to be great in sales, all that, you always learn how to read your clients or tell them what they want to hear and deliver what you say. All that's great. If you want to be a great speaker, you better do these three things. Number one, you better entertain your audience. Number one. Number two, you better be, I'm going to go back. Number one, you better be a really good storyteller. Okay? Your storytelling has got to capture them rapidly. You only got 60 seconds to capture them with your opening talk.
You got that right.
Pitch. That's all you got. Number two, you better entertain them throughout the talk. And number three, you better educate them. And by educating them, I mean give them points that are practical that they can take. Like I have a 3-step leadership action plan. Number one, believe in yourself. Number two, create a clear vision. Number three, take immediate action. I don't care if you're in sales, PNC, or Medical Education Alliance. I don't care if you're the U.S. military. I don't care if you're Home Depot, a not-for-profit. It doesn't matter. Having a clear vision, believing in yourself, having a clear vision, taking immediate action can apply to every single person in life.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
I would never say believe in yourself. I would never say learn how to be a high-level athlete. I would never say learn how to act under extreme pressure when it's 4th and 1. No, I'm going to tell you how to respond to extreme pressure. That's general. you never get specific with your teaching points unless you're doing it for one audience. But it's better to have teaching points that are practical that everyone in the room can utilize. I talk about in order to transition, you need to have these three things: patience, persistence, perform with excellence. Every single person who I talk to in transition, if you're in the room, you need to know how to exercise patience, you have to know how to be persistent, and you have to perform with excellence when your number's called. Yeah. That can apply to any and everybody in the room.
Yeah, absolutely right. Good stuff. Yeah.
Okay, when I tried to become a speaker, I had 30 straight months of getting no job. Patience.
Yeah, patience and perseverance.
Never giving up when I was told no. Perform with excellence. When I got the opportunity to give my speeches, after the first one, when I got feedback, I will perform with excellence every single time.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here today. So
and stay focused. I didn't hear that word focus because you stay focused too. You never took your eye off the mark.
Well, I talk about staying focused on how to deliver goals. It's its own slide. So on that slide, I focus on those three things.
Yeah.
And again, I use it in my life and work. It can go into your life to work. So that's a great speaker, giving people what they can use in their own lives to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Practical knowledge. So, and thank you for that. That's awesome. I mean, you guys, I'm sure people are writing, they got hand cramps. You've been dropping knowledge throughout this whole thing, which is awesome. And it's nice little chunks that they could be able to walk away with. But you've got a book out called Sleepless Nights that I want to make sure people know about. Talk to us about that book a little bit and what inspired you to write it.
So Sleepless Nights is my autobiography, and what inspired me to write it was I was trying to become a speaker, wasn't getting much luck, and I needed to be able to give myself a foundation to stand on to help myself grow forward and move forward. So I ended up writing the book, became a bestseller. It talks about life experiences, football, overcoming addiction, building my brand, my business, and gives just life experiences I had been through to get where I am. So it was published in October of 2015, became a bestseller. You can still get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And it really has helped me to build my platform to become a more successful public speaker, leadership coach, and academy founder. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So people can get that on Amazon and LinkedIn or from your website. Did I see it on your website too?
Yes, you do. Yep.
Yeah, on the website too. All right, good deal. So I want to take another break. I want you to take a moment, tell folks how they can connect with you, follow you, listen to you, because I know you got some video out there too. So tell our folks how they can connect with you, Marques.
Just go to my website, www.marques, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN, publicspeaker.com, or any of my social media. Marques Ogden is my Facebook. Marques Ogden is my LinkedIn. At Marques Ogden is my Instagram. And then at Marques_Ogden1 is my Twitter.
Awesome. All right. We'll be back in just 1 minute, and we'll be wrapping up the segment at that point. Okay, hang tight.
Hi, this is Frederica Peterson of Shifting the Atmosphere with Frederica, and I want to share an empowering moment with you about the power of choice. With dreams come vision, and with vision comes choices. Every choice you make will either draw you closer or further away from the vision you have for your life, your career, your relationships. The list goes on. Being intentional about the steps you take to get closer to the things you want comes down to one small thing: choices. So here are 5 basic principles about choices. 1, everyone has the power to choose. 2, you wake up every day with a choice. 3, excuses are just that. A choice is a choice. 4, what a difference a choice makes. And 5, if you didn't have a choice, who'd you give it to? These are thoughts to live by, and this has been Frederica Peterson of Shifting the Atmosphere with Frederica. For more words of inspiration, check out Frederica Talks, my weekly inspirational message found right here at Shifting the Atmosphere with Frederica.
We're back. You're listening to Shifting the Atmosphere with Frederica, and I'm here with my guest today, Marques Ogden. And we're talking about the journey that he took to get where he is right now. And boy, oh boy, he's been dropping some knowledge here. and I'm sure that many of you have been writing this down, but I think, Marques, that there's somebody that's listening to this broadcast today, and they're struggling in a difficult transition. Something's going on in their life. Maybe they've been, trying for a goal that they've had maybe since they were a child, and it just hasn't happened for them, and they're discouraged, and they've gotten off track. What is it that you would say to them? Because I know you've been there. What would you say to them right now?
I would say to them this: whatever track you're on, only you can decide when to get off the train or not. Don't let others' opinions, their thoughts, their disbelief of you have any effect on what you do. But I'm also going to say this: if you spend a good amount of time doing something, you better think long and hard before you give up. Because once you give up, all that hard work, that time you spent, has been wasted. That's another thing that kept me going for 30 months. I'm like, man, okay, well, I've gone 18 months. Okay, I've gone 6 months. All right, well, if I stop down 6 months later, I'll keep going. I've gone a year. I've gone 2 years. Okay, well, I'm going to go a little bit more after 2.5, but then after 2.5, I got my first job. So what I've learned to tell people is never let your fear never let someone else's fear or disbelief in themselves make it where you don't want to push for yourself. Or another way I can say it much simpler is never let someone else's impossible become your impossible.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful. And that tends to be what happens sometimes. People will speak to us from their own inability to get something done and put it on you. I love it. Don't let somebody's impossible make it your impossible. Become your impossible. That's powerful. Powerful. Well, Marques, this time as always, flies by. It just flies by. But tell us what events you have coming up that you'd like to share.
I have a speaking job coming up for the Buffalo Bills in early June, which I'm excited about. I talked to their rookies. I've got a job coming up for PNC Bank in Orlando for all their sales reps from all across the state of Florida. I've got a job coming up for LEAI, which is Legacy Education Alliance Incorporated. They're the only publicly traded company that does real estate education. They have offices in Orlando, Toronto, London, Hong Kong, and Johannesburg. So I'm looking to get in with them and start to expand my reach and start going more global and getting my word out there. And then I've got some stuff coming up with the U.S. military, USO, North Carolina. I've got jobs coming up in the assisted living space all across the country in the second half of the year. And then, of course, I also do leadership executive coaching, where I help people who want to become public speakers or tell their story and learn how to get paid for their time as a speaker. I help them develop their story so they can go out and truly push for greatness and for success.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any books coming up? You got any more books coming up? Because I hear a whole bunch of them.
But that's kind of like it's going to happen sometime later in the year. But right now, I'm really more focusing on getting out as far as my story and
getting your message out there.
Also looking to put together an online course to help people learn how to effectively use LinkedIn.
Oh, that's good stuff. And so they'll be able to get to that from your website, I would imagine, when it's ready.
Website, and I'm going to create a landing page and stuff like that. We're in the early phases of that, but we're doing that right now as well.
All right. That sounds great. Sounds like you're branching out into some other things that are going to be helpful for people. And I appreciate it. Yeah, and we want to get you back on here once your book comes out, because I'm sure your next book comes out, so I'll be sure to keep in touch with you about that. He's always on LinkedIn posting folks stuff, so you can always follow him on LinkedIn. He's got his little speaking stuff going on out there and other good things he's doing in the community. So, Marques, we know you stay busy. We can hear you in the background, moving and shaking, the car doors open. But it's all good. We know you can't stay still. It's all good. You got a lot going on.
Now it's time to coach my kids in football.
All right.
My wife is out of town for my daughter's cheer, and so now I got to coach football, then go get my little one, and I got more coaching calls this afternoon.
All right. Well, we like it. Keep it moving and shaking, and keep shifting people's atmosphere. I love that. So I'm going to give you one more time to tell folks how they can connect with you.
Go to my website, Marques, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN, public speaker, federicapetterson.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Marques Ogden, Facebook, Marques Ogden, and then my Instagram is @Marques Ogden, and then my Twitter is @Marques_Ogden1.
Perfect. Marques, thank you so much for being on Shifting the Atmosphere. It was a pleasure having you here today.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
Hey, this is Federica. Thanks so much for listening to my podcast today. I upload new shows here every week. And if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get notified when new shows have been uploaded. You can check out all my past episodes from season 2 right here on this podcast station. Now, to find out more information about me, visit my website at www.fredericapeterson.com. Here you'll have access to my latest blogs, information about upcoming guests and events, and so much more. I also encourage you to become a part of my Shifting the Atmosphere community by subscribing to news and events. Here you'll get updates directly from me when I've got something new coming down the pike. Now, I'd love to hear from you, so drop me a note and let me know how I'm doing. Better yet, let me know some other topics of interest that you want to hear about right here on the show. You can catch me on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So until next time, keep shifting your atmosphere. Be well and be blessed.